Welcome back to Stuart Arts. Recently I've been turning some small lidded boxes here and try to add some decoration to them to make them a little more interesting. And the last couple that I did, I incorporated domed coins onto the lids. Well, how did I do that? Well, it's not all that complicated. This is for the nickels and pennies. I used just this little piece of poplar here and Forstner bits, and I just made a couple of little recesses in the wood, and then just take the coin and put it in there, and then I'll use a ball bearing and just a little piece of backer and squeeze it in the vise, and you get a pretty good result. So this was my first nickel that I did, so that's a nice cheap test, and it really worked well. And so once that's done, you're going to want to polish the item. So I just used my Forstner and I made another hollow here, and I'll have a place to put the coin, and then I can go put it on the buffing wheel and clean it up. But as far as what kind of tools to use, well, the penny just happens to be very close to 3/4 of an inch. So just a Forstner bit there to make those little insets, and then I just took a grinding tool and made this little recess here so that I would have a cavity to receive the coin as I compressed it. And then for the nickel, that's an odd size. There's not a US fractional bit that will work with that. So what I had to do is I figured out a metric size, and I can't remember off the top of my head what metric size I used. And then I just went with the next larger metric size, which is very close to the nickel, and then I put it on the grinder and I turned it down until I got a good size to give a good close fit for the nickel. And so this was my trial for the nickel, worked well. And so once I was confident in this, I moved over to doing some old buffalo nickels. So I got a roll of these things, and they're not that expensive, and put it on here and use my little ball bearing here, and got a nice domed coin out of it, polished it up, and I was very happy with that. So I have a few of these on hand for projects that I'm going to do in the future. Early on, I just wanted to use some small coins, not much expense there with that. So if you make a mistake, it's not that painful. But kind of got comfortable with the process and decided to step up my game and go to doing dollar coins. So I got a few dollars here. But before I just went nuts, I wanted to design a jig for this so I could make sure that I had a good possibility of getting a good outcome. So I designed this little press here. Very simple. It's just a couple of pieces of sugar maple. They're turned on the lathe, and there's a dome on the bottom side and a little cavity on the top and a recess place to put the coin. And then to make sure that the whole thing is lined up properly, I just use a couple of steel nails here as alignment pins. So did that little design and went over to the lathe and cut this out, some scrap maple that I had on hand. So this is what the jig looks like. And so that's the domed bottom there, and the top here. And the idea is that the dollar coin will go right in there like that, and then I'll put the two pieces together, and then I'll press them and get this thing to dome. So let's see how that works. I've got my press in the Wilton vise here, and taking a few minutes to get this lined up so that the center line of this is on the center of the jaws. We'll go ahead and squeeze this and see what happens. So just take it nice and easy, and as I start to press it, I can see the coin forming already, so I think this is going to work pretty well. This is where it helps to be 260 pounds, I guess. Putting as much force as I can put on it, and I think it's pretty well bottomed out in the mold. So let's go ahead and take it apart and see what we've got. There it is. Take my little pins out. Pop it out of there. I don't think I could ask for anything better than that. I think that is pretty much exactly what I had in mind there. Well, that was fun to do. I enjoyed that. I'll do a few more of these, and we'll do a wrap up here. I think these came out pretty good. This little press, I did 3 of the coins. I ended up taking this bottom piece and I made the dome a little more steep so that it would push into the mold a little bit better. And when I did that, the second and third ones, they pressed a lot better. So pretty happy with that. I never thought of myself as a tool and die man, but this was kind of fun to do. So it's pretty easy to make. A couple of nails, a couple of pieces of scrap maple, and you can go into the coin doming business. So I've done 3 of these dollar coins here, and I've got a little small inventory of others I'll save for other projects in case I don't want to dome them. You know, when you're working with nickels and pennies, you can afford some trial and error and failures, but stepping up to doing these dollar coins, I was a little nervous about how this would work out. But hey, I'm very happy with how this little press worked, and I've got some nice little elements here that I can incorporate into my wood turning here going forward. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave me a like and a comment, and if you haven't become a subscriber to the Stuart Arts channel, I sure hope you'll consider doing that. Try to put out a couple of videos every week, and I try to make them interesting and as entertaining as I can. If you're ever in the neighborhood, stop by. I'll give you the dollar tour. Used to be a nickel tour, but my overhead has gone up a little bit. Have a great day.